At half-time. Well, let's go back to the studio, where I'm sure Nedum and the two Shauns have got plenty to say to Natalie.
Welcome back to Matchday Live. So it is half-time currently in a 45 minutes that has been dominated by VAR and VAR decisions. I'm hoping that my guests may help us all to make head nor tail of what has just happened, as I'm still joined in the studio by Nedum, Onuoha, Shaun Gota and Shaun Wright-Phillips. So lots of things to talk about in that first half. It hasn't gone any way near what any of us were expecting for that 45 minutes. Now, it did start off, as I think we were all hoping, expecting, dominating performance from City, and then Rodri scores what we thought was an incredible wonder goal. Then the goal is ruled out for a handball by Riyad Mahrez in the build-up to the goal. This is what we think has happened, yes. Well, this is what we know has happened. What do you make of that?
Based on my interpretation of the laws of the game, I think that means that it has to be handball, but I don't know that for certain. As every game passes by, I realise that I know less and less. You know, because you see stuff which happens, like, oh, right, OK. But I'd heard that one within recent weeks. And it's a shame, because in the video, it does look like he does hit his hand. So if that's all it needed, then fair enough. But then it was weird, because the referee took a long time, even when he was looking at the video as well, which is what I didn't really understand. But it's a shame. It's a very eagle-eyed video assistant referee that's seen that. And I suppose that's ultimately what their job is, isn't it?
It looks as though it was about 3 passes before. And I think it's something to the fact that if any goal that's scored, the ball hits the hand of the attacking team, it's, you know, whether intentional or not, it's deemed a handball. But, you know, we were talking off air and we were saying no one on that pitch.
Yeah, no one thinks it's handball.
Thinks it's a handball.
But you understand that it's a free kick, I guess.
Yeah, but it's also that part. I don't think VAR have actually seen it. I think they've just gone back to the incident just to see what's happened in the melee. I don't think they was necessarily looking for it at the start, to be honest with you, because if you look at the first camera angle, it's impossible for you to see because the Copenhagen player's in front of it. So they've had to have changed the full angle and seen it from a different angle to even give it. But even for me, I do understand why you would say it's handball, but at the same time, it's not intentional.
No, not at all.
The ball doesn't change direction, and effectively, that isn't the pass that makes that goal.
Yeah. This is when we needed this rule against Spurs, as you mentioned, against Llorente, like all those years ago when it came off his arm and he went in. He said he didn't mean it, but you know, I guess this is why the rules are around, to sort of negate moments like that.
I think the problem is that the law is so confusing now that there's 4 of us in the room that none of us know exactly 100% what the law is. So I spent the last 10 minutes of that half trying to Google and search and find out what the current law is. So I was looking on the IFAB, so the International Football Association Board's website, who published the laws of the game. So I was looking on that and cannot find an explanation that has been updated for this season. Now, there might have been one. However, they clarified at the start of last season, and this is what they exactly said: accidental handball that leads to a goal-scoring chance or a goal for a teammate will no longer be penalised. So that is what they said last season. I'm presuming there's been some update that I can't find, because to me, that's exactly what happened, Shaun.
Yeah, most definitely. You can actually see in the video that he's actually trying to move his arm rather than leave it there to control the ball. And I think even then, like I said, there's still so much that happens after that in the event for Rodri to score that goal. The little flick to obviously Alvarez and the touch back out. There's still a lot to be done. So I like it, we're all here. I've gone to the point where if anybody answers me, Shaun, what's the handball rule? I say to him, I don't actually know anymore.
You don't.
Well, this is the thing for us. Like, every week is a learning experience, because the referee, the video assistant referee's assistant, and all those people involved in making the decision said that that's the right decision based on the laws of the game. So it's not necessarily a reflection on them in some ways, it's more a reflection on us for not knowing exactly what it is.
Or a reflection on the game for not fully explaining what the laws are.
There is that too, but then I'd also say most sane people, aren't looking around for rules of the game and laws of the game at half-time within matches anyway. Or
well, I mean, I don't want to...
don't want to be that guy, but yeah.
Well, I'm guessing that I'm the only person in the room that is a qualified referee, so therefore it does interest me.
And you don't know the laws?
No, I did the course like 8 years ago. They've changed a lot since then. But I do think there needs to be real clarity, and I agree with your point. They are following what they believe is right, and they are following VAR and the point of VAR. I think what my frustration with it is, Shaun, and I think all normal, rational football fans will be the same, is that we don't want world-class goals like that ruled out for tiny little incidents, especially when it feels like they were looking for a reason to disallow it.
Yeah, it feels like they're looking for a reason to, because as the game's going on, we don't see it. And, we see the goal go and we think, oh, brilliant strike. And Mahrez is there. It looks as though it's a normal situation where his hands up, which is trying to sort of move the player away in terms of shield or protect as the ball is coming down from out of the sky. It hits his hand accidentally. It doesn't change direction. Rather, it hits his hand, the ball's still going to do the same thing. It's just going to bounce back up. So, that's sort of a hard one to swallow, because I just think I hate the handball rule. I'm a bit like you. It's like, don't talk to me about it, because it's just...
I think these are very, very good points, to just flip it for a second. And I know I'm on this show, but if it was the other way around and you saw the opposition players, it touched their hand and then it went in, would you be like, oh, that's fine?
I don't know. It's a good question.
I honestly would.
Yeah.
Because I don't think there's enough in it. It's not like, I would understand if it hit Mahrez's hand and then bounced to Alvarez, but the ball's come down, right where it would have landed anyway.
But according to, I get that. And the thing is, I agree with you, because I don't think in the spirit of the game that should be handball.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But according to the laws of the game, it is handball. And that's one of those things which you sort of accept. It's similar to like when they do the lines for VAR and someone's kneecap's offside. Like you say, I don't think that's really offside, but then you say, well, it's offside.
Okay, then, so what was the difference in that, in, say, comparison to the handball that should have been given in the Arsenal game, where he's tried to cross the ball, it hits Gabriel's arm, which is hair, and the ball goes that way, no penalty given.
They said for that one, didn't they, that he was, because of how close he was? Because in that moment, when you look at a slow motion replay, you give off the idea that someone can move it, but when you're just there, aren't you? If someone kicks the ball at you from a yard away, what can you do?
So, but that's my point. So Mahrez tries to move his hands, because you see him move, and that's why the ball's not changed direction.
Different law.
So, yeah, it's interesting. That's what I mean. I don't get it. I'm playing devil's advocate.
Annoying.
I'm playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, it's very, very annoying, and we should be given, but this is where we're at, unfortunately.
And I agree with you. If that is the stone cold law, then it is. But I think for everybody that it loves to see attacking football, you want to see the world-class goal. Whoever's scoring it, you want to see the world-class goal allowed. Now, the handball rule discussion isn't over yet, because shortly after that, City are awarded a penalty for a handball situation. But I think in this case, we immediately all said, well, if the Mahrez one is a handball, then this is a handball.
Yeah, that's the way it felt. But again, interestingly, you said before, I think you said it, that it was weird that the VAR are just looking for a reason to not give a goal. But then in the instance in that play, they were looking back because they thought maybe they've missed something. So it's that level of detail where they will look at everything, except sometimes it works in your favour, sometimes it works against it. But your perception of them looking is all based on the outcome. So all of a sudden it's like, oh, that is handball, and you're glad that they've spotted it. So surely for Copenhagen, that would be the opposite would also be true. Because the defender probably thinking he's gotten away with it. He's definitely not intended to handle the ball.
No, he hasn't.
And he's probably had time to sort of get his arm out of the way, but sometimes contact like that's incidental. But when it hits his arm, you're like, well, I guess that's going to be a penalty because that's the laws of the game.
But then nobody, sorry, Shaun, nobody reacts to it. We didn't react to it. Not one of those City players puts the hand up.
It's the same because we didn't see it, which is the same as the Mahrez thing.
Right.
Well, I think it's a situation where he's, again, sort of challenging for the ball. His arm's extended because he's trying to, sort of protect or keep the player away. And with his arm being stiff there, then he can't move his arm at that point. And it's sort of, I don't even think he's that aware. So, but we're looking at it thinking, well, if it's given that, this has to be a penalty as well.
And then there was the discussion that we've had before about where does the arm start, because it does hit it. So according again in my Nedum, in my Google search, it starts.
Watch the game.
I do enjoy reading in the laws. It is in line with your armpit. So below in line with your armpit is your arm. Above
so it's not the sleeve.
So it's not the sleeve. It's in line with your armpit.
See, there's another
See,
part
every
of the
day-
ball
every
I didn't
day's a
know.
school day.
Yeah,
The
that's what I
referee
mean.
told it.
Yeah.
This is what
I
I mean.
thought it
I
was the
don't-
sleeve.
Exactly.
That's what we've been told before. It was the sleeve. So obviously, clearly now it's changed again.
Yeah, so you won't be able to wear those long sleeves anymore in the hope that...
All my sleeves were long anyway. Sure,
very
didn't
true.
matter.
It's not a handball, that's a hit right here.
Yes. Well, from that, City going to get the penalty. And Riyad Mahrez, who, by the way, has scored his last 4 Champions League penalties, on this occasion, Shaun, didn't go his way.
Yeah, listen, Mahrez is a brilliant penalty taker, and surprisingly, I think his last penalty, he went that side. So it surprised me that he didn't go middle or actually to the other side. But that keeper, we were talking about it, that he's, he played well in the first game, and I think he's wanting people to remember him. It's a brilliant save. Mahrez is struck it well enough. If anything, we say it's probably just a good height for a keeper.
Keeper, agreed.
That'll be it. Yeah, but it's good height for the keeper because he's there. I think sometimes with Mahrez and other penalty takers, they decide which side they're going to go to. He gives off that sort of air, like he's made the choice before he's kicked the ball. But for the goalkeepers, like this is a little bit of insight. Goalkeepers have got a list of where all the penalties have gone for said player for their whole careers.
I see them take water
But
bottles
that's
sometimes.
specific to a penalty shootout.
Okay.
But like just in general games, you know where the last 5 penalties have gone, and for every player that thinks that what they're doing is this illusion of random, before you know it, like when it's all up there, and they know like. Yeah, so he's gone this way. He tends to go 2 this way and 1 that way. And for us, we would probably see 3 pens across the whole season.
Yeah.
When it's on a sheet of paper, it's like you know where the tendency is going to be. So he went the right way. It was a good save, and it's sad because you said he was a stonewall to score the penalty as well, didn't you? So it's just a shame that you got that one wrong.
I can get that in there.
I knew Nedum was waiting to get.
Oh, there's more.
So we missed the penalty, and then that is not the end of the incidents in the first half. So moving forward from then, there is another decision that is looked at by VAR. So the ref has been back and forward to his monitor quite a few times. In this instance, Sergio Gomez is sent off. Shaun, talk to us about the build-up to that.
Well, just in general, they obviously caught us on a break. I think it was maybe Rodri that tried to play a straight ball through, and it got cut out, and they get it wide, and obviously he runs across and he plays that ball in. And Nedum highlighted something, being a defender that he is. He noticed something that I wouldn't have noticed with my attacking mind sense, that the defender, in a way, was caught on the wrong side of him. For me, you just got to let him go and trust in your goalkeeper. And I actually, first glance, didn't actually think it was a penalty. I thought he actually just arm strengthened him out the way and just moved it until he fell over, until I saw the replay and he kind of arm bars him. And then I think this is a red card. He's last man, isn't he, really?
Yeah. He's just got his sort of arm interlocked, and we couldn't see it on the initial shot, but when we saw the replay, I thought it was a point. There was a point when the ball was lost and they were sort of on the attack. I thought that there was probably 3 to 4 seconds where Gomez could have just tucked in the inside. And if he was on the inside, I think that physical challenge doesn't happen because he's in the right position. So I think if he'll look back and reflect and think, I should have moved my feet a little quicker just to get round, and which is the stuff that Nedum was on about.
Yeah, and I think in that instance we were all pretty much unanimous when we'd seen it back. However, just testing your knowledge, it was an indirect. A free kick was given about a yard outside. If the incident had taken place just inside the box, what would have happened?
It would have been given as a penalty, but he would have gotten a yellow or something.
That's it, yep. It would have been given as a
dog show or something like that.
Yeah, it would have been given as a penalty and he would have got a yellow card.
Yeah, okay. So he should just
Just foul him inside the box then.
Yeah.
What's that? Yeah, would that have been preferable? Yeah. Okay, so yes, every day is a school day. I'm going to continue to try and read the laws of the game during the second half, and we'll try and work it out together. So the teams will be back out in just a second. Nathan, what are you hoping to see from City in the second half?
To be honest, when they had 11 men, and then especially when they had 10, I think to break down this Copenhagen side, there's either going to have to be a bit of brilliance like we saw for that Rodri goal, which was disallowed, or somebody stretching the game in behind.
Right, the teams are coming out now. We've talked extensively about that. Thank you.
Dearie me.
I'm sorry.
Oh, my. Oh, my God.
We'll be back at full time. Definitely Shaun and Shaun, maybe Nedum. Hopefully he comes back for full time. Don't forget you can get your commentary with Alistair Mann and Michael Brown for the second half. And honestly, I hope we're not talking about any more VAR incidents in this second half. Now, come on, City.